Presidential Lecture Series is a component of the freshman year program. Its objective is to expose the entire student body at Medgar Evers College to a wide range of individuals from the professional world of work. It seeks to attract authors, entrepreneurs, artists, politicians, performing artists, and members of the academic academy, and anyone who has the expertise to motivate and inspire a population of college men and women. With the advent of the 21st century and the continued development of new technology, creative methods to address the needs of our student body must be continued to be realized in a variety of forms. The Presidential Lecture Series is another form for providing educational experiences which will enable the students at Medgar Evers College to become proficient in their chosen academic disciplines. It also enables students to develop an appreciation for the world at large. Students are given the opportunity to engage in dialogue with many distinguished individuals covering the full scope of academic diversity and multiculturalism. It is an effort by the college to arouse intellectual curiosity and to raise the level of awareness of each student who is in pursuit of academic excellence. This academic year, the series is dedicated to the memory of our beloved Dr. Betty Shabazz, the former Director of Institutional Advancement and Public Affairs. Dr. Shabazz was a great supporter and a frequent lecturer on the Presidential Lecture Series. Her profound words of wisdom inspired and motivated many members of our college family. Many of the guest lecturers this year are personal friends of Dr. Shabazz and come to Medgar Evers College as a tribute to her legacy as an activist for education and human and civil rights. Like Dr. Shabazz, they too have committed themselves towards enabling a new world order and empowerment of people universally, and to the concept that education is the key to upward mobility and success as we approach the 21st century. Medgar Evers College, through the Presidential Lecture Series, remembers Dr. Shabazz and pledges its continued objective to serving all people who are in relentless pursuit of academic excellence and career development. The college offers these words of Dr. Shabazz: to all who hear the series of lectures, as Mr. Barton stated earlier, find the good and praise it.
And now I'm going to ask Dr. Withers, who is the Assistant Provost at Medgar Evers College, to come and give us moments of reflection on the life of Dr. Betty Shabazz. Dr. Withers.
Well, good afternoon, or good evening. It's late. How are you? Dr. Shabazz, as you may know, was a member of the Medgar Evers College family for over 21 years. And she began her tenure here at the college as a faculty person teaching in the then division of health sciences, nursing and health sciences. And sometime after that, she took on another position in administration out of the classroom, and she began to do what we call public relations. But if you think about Dr. Shabazz when she first came here, she was a young mother, a widow. Well, she doesn't like to use the term widow. Her husband had been assassinated, and she was without her husband. She had 6 kids to raise, 6 children, all ladies, all girls, ranging from late teenagehood down to about, maybe 10 or so. So she is not unlike in many respects to some of the people, some of the women who come to Medgar Evers today. Many of them are parents with young children to raise. But what she was when she first came here was not what she became when she left this world, when she, as her daughter said, transcended. And I think that her statement that we've been echoing tonight, find the good and praise it, says a lot of things to many of us. But to me, it says, find the good and praise it because she recognized that we are not perfect, that things are not perfect, that we are not perfect and things are not perfect, but we must embrace that which is positive, celebrate it, praise it, and continue to look and to work for good. So I don't think that Dr. Shabazz, or Dr. Betty as we like to call her, would want to think of her as a perfect individual, as a non-approachable, iconed individual. She would want you to think of her as a human being who faced challenges in her life and overcame them, and celebrated each and every accomplishment in herself and in others. And that find the good and praise it also says that you can, despite your difficult circumstances, and all of our circumstances seem difficult when we're having them, that we can overcome them and go on to greater heights. I think that Dr. Shabazz would want us to think about lifelong learning, which is an educational issue, but lifelong learning not only of academics, but lifelong learning about ourselves, of who we are, what we want to do. She always sought what I call the divine. All of us are divine, but we must seek to uncover it, seek to nurture it, find the good, and praise it. As you know, Dr. Shabazz did several lectures in the freshman year Presidential Lecture Series, and I suspect you have an assignment. What's your assignment for today? Do you have to write something about this? Yes. Well, guess what? This is not anything new. This happens every year. The students in FS 101 and 102 come here and they have to prepare in writing their thoughts on each lecture. This is very good because it allows you to not only to listen carefully, but to reflect on what you've heard. So there's a purpose to this, not just to make sure that you came and so you got something, but also to have you to reflect on what you heard at the lecture.
Hey everybody, Education and Perspective has moved to a new time.
If you thought 9 a.m. was too early, then you'll love this.
On Saturday, October 4th, Education and Perspective can now be seen at 1 p.m. on WNYE, Channel 25.
Be sure to look for us. We'll be looking for you on Saturdays at 1 p.m. starting October 4th.
Every year, people who care about the world's children trick-or-treat for UNICEF. This is how we do it. Hi, I'm LeVar Burton. The money we collect buys medicine, clean water, nutrition, and education. It saves kids' lives. This October, wherever you go, whoever you are, take the box. Call 1-800-4KIDS for your free cartons. UNICEF, because every child is our child.
Thou hast made him a little lower than the angels and crowned him with glory and honor. Today I introduce to you a man who really is a piece of work. A man who has been acclaimed by 2 mayors of the city and has been placed on various commissions to determine the well-being of the people and the citizens of New York City, but most especially the well-being of the inhabitants of central Brooklyn. A man who is noble in faculty, and for such nobility has been recognized by governor and congresspersons in the state of New York. A man who is infinite in reason, one whose judgment directs the course of this institution of higher learning. He's a well-educated man, having earned a doctorate degree from Rutgers University under the tutelage of the late Dr. Samuel DeWitt Proctor. And yet, with all of that education, he's a spiritual man who's not afraid to publicly state the source of his strength and the fact that God has made him a little lower than the angels, and crowned him with glory and honor. Our lecturer is a prolific writer, and he's one who has participated frequently on radio and television programs. And mostly, he's an educator whose interest is the welfare of you, the students, who enter this college in pursuit of academic excellence. On a daily basis, he continues to seek to improve the quality of this institution so that you may have the best possible chance of realizing your potentials, your academic goals, and your career objectives. Nature made him, and then nature broke the mold. He came to Medgar Evers College 7 years ago, just, I believe, for a time like this. And he brought with him a strong mind, a great heart, a true faith, and a ready hand. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the president of Medgar Evers College, Dr. Edison O Jackson. Dr. Jackson.
To Professor Barton, to the class of 2001 and beyond, to the faculty, administration, and staff, welcome to the Presidential Lecture Series, which is in honor of a fallen comrade, Dr. Betty Shabazz. As I thought about what could I say to a freshman class that has had approximately 3 weeks enjoying the instruction here at Medgar Evers College, also being challenged in ways perhaps that they have never been challenged in their lives. The central thought then that I would like to speak to this evening is pressing on. And the byline is, there ain't no stopping you now. In the early 70s, a song by McFadden and Whitehead, which hit the airways sometimes during the height of the Civil Rights Movement. And the words go thusly: there have been so many things that have held us down, but now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know we got a long, long way to go, and where we'll end up, I don't know. But we can't let nothing hold us back. So we getting ourselves together, we polishing up our act. Because if you ever been down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore, so you let nothing stand in your way. Because there ain't no stopping you today. This song, when it was released, became the rallying cry of those who were seeking a better life. And for a while, Black Americans and those others who were disenfranchised adopted it as their own. And then as the fever of the Civil Rights Movement died, so did the popularity of that song. People soon forgot the words because they were lulled into a state of complacency, thinking that we had finally made it, and that there was no reason to have a rallying cry anymore. But I have not forgotten, and I'm asking you to this evening to think about those words. Think about those words in terms of what would stop you from moving on. What would stop you from pressing on? You know, every time I hear that song, I think how appropriate it is to our current situation and our history in these United States and in other developing countries. As I reflect upon the times in which we are living, I sometimes think it would be a good idea if we could make that song our other national anthem, a national theme, our rallying cry all over again. Most of us in this room can identify with the words of that song because most of us have suffered hardship at the hands of an oppressive and sometimes uncaring society. We have all been victimized in some way or another. In fact, I can think of at least 10 hardships that we have all had in common and may have experienced either individually or collectively. The ones that come readily to mind are racism, sexism, classism, bigotry, hatred, hostility, greed, envy, oppression, and injustice. There are probably others, but I will stop there. The point is that none of those things are reserved for a special few of us. They are applied to all of us and our children quite even-handedly. We have never been truly invited to partake of the American pie. Every other group in this country is here by invitation. However, we know how we got here. And since we have been here, we have been struggling on a set of rules designed specifically to keep us in our place. Rules that would have destroyed our weaker people. Isn't it ironic that we were originally brought here or to the Caribbean because of our superior physical strength? I don't think it ever occurred to anyone that we might also possess, at the very least, comparable intellect and spirit. I believe our history has proven that we definitely have superior spiritual strength. After all, didn't we survive? We're going to keep on surviving because there ain't no stopping us now. And we are pressing on to that mark, forgetting those things that are behind us. Looking back down the road that we have traveled, we know with certainty that there have been many and many things that have held us down. Today, 30 years after the civil rights movement, the victories and the rights that were so hard won are slowly being eroded and erased. One by one, they are being rescinded and legislated away. Almost every month, a new commission or task force or study group is formed to report on us how we are living, what we are doing. And every election year, local and national governments argue incessantly over how much money will be allocated to new programs to service us and our children. And when the election is over with, it is business as usual. For the last 500 years, someone, somewhere, has been busy studying us, classifying us, making us into all kinds of statistics, counting us, cataloging us, and trying to figure out just what to do with us. Or we have been subjected to hideous experiments, denied often an equal opportunity to flourish and to socialize into a cadre of programs designed to contain us. But we are, and you are, a tenacious people. We refuse to be thrown out with the trash. I don't think anyone was prepared for our tenacity, our ability to hold on even when there was no hope. Along the way, we were stripped of everything except our faith. And that was the one thing that we possessed that could not be beaten out of us. It could not be starved away. It could not be stolen from us. It is the one thing that has sustained us, and that is hope. It was the one thing our ancestors had, and they made the most of it. That is hope. How they were able to keep going in spite of the atrocities heaped upon them, we will never know. We can only assume that they walked by faith and not by sight. And now we must do the same. We must stand on the shoulders of giants. And because of them, we're able to live in a different world, a better world, because they paved the way. Now we can say with certainty that it looks like things are finally turning around. It is indeed a new day for most of us. For those willing to make the necessary sacrifices, for those who have the perseverance, for those who have the vision of the kind of future they want, it is a new day. Somehow I know our foreparents will be pleased to know that we no longer sit in the back of the bus unless we want to, that we no longer have to live in a segregated society unless we want to, that we are free to work, earn wages, and possess some of the finer things of life just like anyone else. But on the other hand, I believe that our foreparents will also be disappointed that more of us have not taken advantage of these opportunities that we have before us. When we ask ourselves how our grandparents and great-grandparents were able to survive and prepare a road into the future for us, one thing that we know is that they were very good as passing their hope and their faith along from one generation to another. Each successive generation prepared the way for things to be a little bit better for the generation that followed. And we must do the same. The question is, what will you do? Our ancestors believed there was nothing beyond their reach, and if they continued to have faith and acquired knowledge, and that was the only unbreakable tenet that our foreparents handed down to us, that is to get ourselves an education. You see, they knew even then that the only free person is the educated person. They understood that to remove the shackles from our hands and feet was not enough. For without education, our minds will still be enslaved. They knew that education was the key to our success. Education is the key that opens the door to success. It is the fastest elevator to the good life. It is the means by which we become a part of the haves of the society. Sadly, however, some do not believe in this philosophy and will probably be relegated to the fringes of society, living off the crumbs as a result. But I implore all of you not to be one of the non-believers, for I tell you that there is a greater urgency than ever to become educated and to use that education. For knowledge is power, but it's only useful when you use it. One of the reasons that there's a greater urgency is that there are many of the jobs that we'll find in the 21st century have not even been created yet. But they will be, and you can be sure that they will involve technology in some way. So you have to ask yourself, what would happen to those who won't even have the basis with which to function in this new technological society? Those who do not take advantage of education opportunity now will find it difficult to catch up later as technology becomes more and more advanced. We can only hope that perhaps they will get the message and somehow do as you have done. Come to Medgar Evers College, where we are preparing our students for the 21st century. I can only assure you that there will be a place in the New World Order for those who are willing to prepare for it today. So why don't you press on? Now, I don't want to give you the impression that education can solve all the world's problems. I can only guarantee that it can begin to eliminate and solve many of the problems we face in our society. Even some of the age-old ones that are deeply embedded in our society, like racism, bigotry, and poverty. Those are the kind of scourges that I'm sure could be eliminated completely if people were better educated concerning their causes. Of course, we have a lot of other problems that we need to address within our communities. We need to understand that the kind of decisions that we make today will determine our future. We need to understand that we have a responsibility to take charge of our lives. When we look at the rate of teenage pregnancy, violent crime, black-on-black crime, drug addiction, unemployment and underemployment, homelessness and hunger, and the list goes on and on. But what distresses me the most are the statistics are telling the sad story of how many of our youngsters drop out of school without ever giving themselves a chance to succeed. These are the young people who grow up to fill the homeless shelters or get involved with the criminal justice system or end up on the margin of society. These are the young people who soon learn that the world is very unkind to people who do not have the necessary skills to make a living. They are the people whom it is predicted will complete the cycle, perpetuate the cycle of poverty they are currently experiencing into the next generation, and many of whom will be relegated to menial work and towards the fringes of society. There is no need for that to take place. We have a wonderful opportunity to make a difference in our lives and those that we have contact with. It is important that we become a beacon of hope in our communities. Now consider, if you will, that we have more black and Latino politicians, doctors, lawyers, educators, business persons, teachers, and professionals than ever before in the history of this country. We may not have all the opportunities that we should have, but thank God we have more than we used to. I believe it is because education has made a difference and more opportunities have developed. Success takes place when preparation meets opportunity. Success takes place when preparation meets opportunity. And the only thing that we have control over is preparation. So we still have a long, long way to go, and where we end up, I don't know. But I do know that we must do everything possible to prepare ourselves for the new millennium, because the world is changing. And we must either keep up or be left forever by the wayside. We cannot allow that to happen, not to you, or not to your children, or to your family members. Too many have worked too hard to get us where we are this evening. Consequently, we cannot let anything hold us back. So we got to get ourselves together. We got to polish up our act. That means join together in brotherhood and sisterhood to support and help each other. That means taking an active interest in what is going on in our communities and helping to find ways to solve the problems that afflict us all and keep us stymied. That means giving something back, getting a good education so that you can help to educate others. That means helping to find solutions to all the myriad problems that threaten to destroy our families and leave our children without hope. We are all on this journey together. And the only ones who can save us is us. We cannot afford to wait for the white knight on the white horse to come charging to our rescue, righting wrongs and restoring equality. We are responsible for that ourselves, and we have no one else to depend upon but ourselves. The only thing that we can count on is that there will be more studies and more reports, which will result in more programs designed to keep us on the margins, continuing to fight to be let in. We do not need to have another 500 years to devote to this struggle. The onus is upon us to secure a place in the future for ourselves and our children. And we have to do it now. How? First, by remembering ourselves, and then instilling in our children the desire to become educated and the conviction that education can and will make a difference in the quality of your life and within your lifetime. We must give our children, the young, the unassailable belief that with faith and knowledge there's nothing beyond our and their reach. But first, we got to believe in ourselves. We who sit in this room today are setting an example that others will see and follow. For you'll work hard while you're here, get your degrees, and go out to find your place in the world. Wherever you go, however you decide to use your degree, you will be an inspiration to someone who will decide to follow in your footsteps. You see, it is no secret that people with good education, people with higher education, enjoy a better quality of life than those who are not educated. They are able to move more quickly and smoothly into the successful category. They usually do not have to scrimp and scrape to put food on the table or to keep a roof over their heads. They do not have to worry about taking money from the food budget to buy just one more lottery ticket in the hope that they will hit the big one and solve all of their financial problems. Many find that the better educated they are, the better they're able to face the challenges of a fast-paced changing society, and the more privileges they receive. But the successful one will also be the first to tell you that it was not easy. They had to work hard for it and work hard just to maintain it. Nothing was just freely given to them, that they did not get where they are without a struggle, and in most instances, getting there as they were prepared, they made it. I'm here to tell you this evening that they did not do anything that had not been done before, and they did not do anything that you cannot do with your lives. All you have to do is follow their example and use their formula. You too can join the ranks of the successful. But to get there, you got to have a plan, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Let me say that again. You got to have a plan, because if you fail to plan, then surely you will end up failing. See, if you are on a destination, going on a trip, and you have not decided on a destination, any place will do. And any place that might come up might not be what you had anticipated or what you want to do. So you got to have a plan. You must have a plan. And here are some true tips to get your plan started. Number one, don't waste time. Some of you are so young you think you got a whole lot of time. Well, let me tell you, you don't have a whole lot of time. It is later than you think. And the challenges that are facing all of us are tremendous. And only the fittest, those who have a good education, those who have the skills, will make it in society. And I want you to remember the words of Dr. Benjamin Mays, who was the president of Morehouse College, a theologian, a philosopher, and educator. And he said this: I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it, but it's up to me to use it. Give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but eternity is in it. Keep in mind that your time is valuable and every minute is precious. Use them wisely. Number 2, learn to have respect for yourself and for others. There are no differences between any of us that cannot be solved through understanding and rational discourse. There are no differences between us that cannot be solved through understanding, and the operative word is rational discourse. 3, take your studies seriously because we're living in serious times. And when we move into the 3rd millennium, we must be prepared to take our rightful place alongside everyone else. If we are prepared, we do not need to beg for crumbs from the table. We can own the table. 4th, have faith. God is still in charge. No matter what you see and hear around you, remember that the Master holds us all in the palm of his hands, and therefore you shall never walk alone. If you can just keep those things in mind, then we will be on the right track, because if you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore. There's nothing any of us can do to change the past. Our history is just that, history. However, we can ensure that nothing like our past ever reoccurs again in our future. Therefore, we must honestly assess where we are right now and carefully plot our course into the future. We must be clear that the gains we have made thus far are because of education, which is a right of every person who wants to take advantage of it. It is a right which we will never again allow to be taken from us or our children. It is a right which we must use to its fullest advantage. God has given us a wonderful instrument called the mind, the brain. And you can use it for good, or you can use it for evil. But what I suggest to you that you ought to visualize in your mind success, not failure. And when you visualize success, it will also create success. There are some people, everything that comes out of their mouth is negative. I can't do it. You ask them how they're feeling. I'm sick. I'm not feeling good. Everything is negative. You see, one of the things we need to understand, that we speak to reality into existence, and that becomes our reality. So what you have to do, for those of you who like to lollygag and lay in that negativity, you have to retrain your minds to think and to visualize success. You also need to understand that you need to extricate yourself from negative thinking people. See, negative thinking people will also make you depressed. And sometimes when you have friends who will call you up and share all of their negativity, and then you are so upset trying to figure out how to help them, and you see them the next morning, next day, they've been out partying the rest of the night. And you have been trying to figure it out. You need to understand that you don't need to allow anyone else to give you their excess baggage. You have enough of your own. Understand that it's also important to be around people who are positive. Now, you may think that you are strong and that you can be around negative thinking people and it will not affect you. Positive and negative energy do not coexist in the same space. And if you're not careful, the negativity will seep into your psyche. That's why there's an old saying, birds of a feather flock together. And what happens in terms of synergy that develops. If you're going to be successful here at Medgar Evers, if you're going to be successful in life, you have to take a negative situation and turn it into a positive one. That is, some people say life gave them a lemon and you turn it into lemonade. There are sometimes you may meet a faculty member who may not be what you think they ought to be. Don't give up. Use that as an opportunity to rise above the occasion and to be successful. Visualize the positive. And when you go into examination, and if you've studied, now if you haven't studied, then that's a whole nother story. Because you can't ace examination if you have not studied. So what I said, success occurs where preparation meets opportunity, right? So you haven't studied unless you're just a genius. But when you go into examination, think in terms of visualizing that I'm going to succeed. I'm going to ace this examination. And I can guarantee you that it will make a difference because of the energy that you're putting out there. But if you go into the examination saying, I don't know, I'm going to do it, I don't know, they're just whining and complaining, and all that negative energy that you are utilizing, that doesn't create success, ladies and gentlemen. So visualize the positive. Visualize success. Never allow your mind to come and to feed you into a negative situation. And those of you know that negative thoughts will always enter your mind. The question is, will you allow it to stay there? Or will you move it out so something positive can come in? See, there are no empty spaces in your brain. Some people may act like there's an empty space up there, but there's none. So there's something that occupies that space there, and that can be either negative or positive. And what you want to be there is the positive, and that is how you can create a greater success rate for you. Do you know that whatever you say to your children, they act it out? If you tell them they are no good, they will end up being no good. It is a research fact. Don't tell your children that they're no good. Even if they are no good, tell them they are good, and they'll try to act like they are good. Believe me. And see, we have responsibility because you have responsibility to the next generation. And if you're going to feed young children negativity, they're going to become that in their reality. Mothers, be careful about what you say about men around your male young children. If you say that all men are no good, that young child who's a male said, well, then I am a male, therefore I am no good. We sow seeds. And you can sow positive ones and you can sow negative ones. But in the final analysis, we're all going to reap what we sow. That is why we need to visualize success and positive things. Because if we don't, then negativity will seep in and become your way of life. Don't be so hard on each other. You know, sometimes we are so critical of one another, so harsh. And we sometimes need to look and take the beam out of our own eyes so that we can see more clearly. There is no perfect being or perfect institution on this earth. You may think you're perfect, but when you reach perfection, you will make that transition. There are no perfect human beings on this earth, so have compassion and lift up those who may not have reached the level of enlightenment that you have reached and help them to grow. You have a wonderful opportunity to make a difference. And please don't go to your classes and sleep. You cannot get an education by sleeping. And I don't care how porous your brain is, there are not enough holes there to let that go in called knowledge. So you can create your own success, you can create your own world. The power is up to you. So I want you to press on. I want you to understand that the power is within you, and that when you say there ain't no stopping me now, you understand the capacity and the power that you have within you to succeed in a mighty, powerful way. We don't have a choice, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have a choice. So use this opportunity called education to make a difference. So the mind is powerful. The belief structure is powerful and important. An understanding of a plan to make that which you create in your mind to become a reality. So let me conclude with a statement that you will hear me probably say every time you see me. And it goes like this, and it is real, ladies and gentlemen. If your mind can conceive it and your heart believe it, then you surely, surely can achieve it. And when you embrace those three phrases, you can then say, there ain't no stopping me now. May God bless you.
Hey everybody, Education and Perspective has moved to a new time.
If you thought 9 a.m. was too early, then you'll love this.
On Saturday, October 4th, Education and Perspective can now be seen at 1 p.m. on WNYE, Channel 25.
Be sure to look for us. We'll be looking for you on Saturdays at 1 p.m. starting October 4th.
And as electoral winners, Mr. Carlos Baptiste, Mr. Melvin Gray. Let's give them another hand.